everyone. So the other day I went into the church and the music was off. Sometimes there's music on in the church and there was nobody there, so I decided to sing. I recorded it, I put it on YouTube. The acoustics are beautiful at Blessed Sacrament. I'm not a professional singer, but I like to sing. So they had invited me to the 11 o'clock choir, but I don't sing Latin and I don't know Latin, so I decided to leave it for now. So this is my music book. I bought this music to teach myself. I'm learning it slowly. This is Andrew Lloyd Webber's music. So if I go off key, just bear with me. I use the music because I don't remember the notes and I don't remember the words. Midnight, not a sound from the pavement, as the moon lost her memory. She is smiling alone in the lamplight. The withered leaves collect at my feet, and the wind begins to moan. Memory, all alone in the moonlight, I can smile at the old days. I was beautiful then. I remember the time I knew what happiness was. Let the memory live again. Every street lamp seems to beat fatalistic warning. Someone mutters and the street lamp gutters, and soon it will be morning. Daylight, I must wait for the sunrise. I must think of a new life, and I mustn't give in. When the dawn comes, tonight will be a memory too, and a new day will begin. Burnt out ends of smoky days, the stale cold smell of morning. The street lamp dies, another night is over, another day is dawning. Touch me, it's so easy to leave me all alone in the all alone with the memory of my days in the sun. If you touch me, you'll understand what happiness is. Look, a new day has begun. So I don't know all his music, and I'm not as good as some of the people that I went to university with or school with. Lance is a very good singer, and we had a nice choir back in the day, but I sing just for fun, just because I enjoy it. And I'm teaching myself Para Siempre. I don't know it that well, but I'm teaching myself that. So this music book I got. I like Andrew Lloyd Webber. So I'll do my John Maxwell now. I'm just going to cancel. I think I set up an event today, but I'm going to cancel that one and just do it now. And the message for today is alarm bells for leaders. The scripture is Galatians 6, 7 to 10. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially those who are of the household of faith. So basically, John Maxwell saying we can't pull a fast one on God. God sees everything, God knows everything. And people use different names for God. Some people say the universe, some people say Yahweh. People use different names, but for us, we take the names of God from our scriptures, from the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that's where our source is. God sees all, and he cannot be deceived. He notices our shortcuts and also our efforts when we do well. To ensure that you live by this truth, seek others to hold you accountable and act as your alarm bells. Invite others to ask you tough questions such as the following. Is my personal walk with God up to date? Am I keeping my priorities straight? Am I asking myself the hard questions? Am I accountable to someone in authority? Am I sensitive to what God is saying to the whole body of Christ? Am I over-concerned with building my image? Do I put more stock in events rather than process? Am I a loner in my leadership and personal life? Am I aware and honest about my weaknesses? Is my calling constantly before me? Which people are your alarm bells? So we all have people in our lives, people who are good friends, people who can be with us on our journey. And if we have Christian friends, it's even better. So check this chair. So when I was working at Teleperformance, my friend Renee said to me, are you sure you're going to be able to carry on working there because that job is so stressful? I said to her, I should be fine. And I was doing very well when I had my extra break and I had support from the supervisors. But once they took that away, I went downhill completely. And I was surprised, like my nose was bleeding for over an hour on some days. And, the doctor just thought that it was the change in temperature. He said, you know what, when the temperature changes, a lot of people have nosebleeds. And I said to him, yeah, but not me. I mean, this is the first time I've been in Canada for over 20 years and I live in the same building. I keep the temperature the same. And he's like, I'm sure it will pass. I'm sure it's nothing. Just put your diffuser on, get a little diffuser. I said to him, I do all that. And then I went to the doctor, the new doctor, because my old doctor retired. And they took my blood pressure. And my hypertension was stage 3. It was stage 2. I was like, oh my God. And I told the doctor, I don't think it's right. I think I'm just scared because it's my first time meeting you. He's like, it's too high. It's too high. I said, let's give it a while. So then I had to take my blood pressure at home and I had to monitor myself for 2 weeks, then go back. And he said, no, this is not normal. You have to do it for 1 more week and then I can prescribe the medication that you need to take. So I did it for 1 more week and it was still too high. It was still stage 2, borderline stage 3. Sometimes it was off the chart. It wasn't even on the chart. So these are things that our friends will notice. The friends who have been with us a long time, who keep in touch with us often. And my friend Renee knows me because we keep in touch often. Maria Bose, she also knows me. My friends in South Africa, a few of them. So they are the ones who know me and who know how I am, who can tell. And even my mom said to me, I don't think it's anything. She said, I also get those nosebleeds and I get them quite often. I don't think you should worry about it because you're fine. And so it came as a shock to me when I went to the doctor and he said to me, this is high blood pressure. Because I've been working at Teleperformance for over 5 years and I never experienced anything like that. Even when I was at work, I never had nosebleeds and things like that. So it came as a shock to me. And that's why now I need to find work that's more suitable, that's more aligned to my health and also my skills, because I do use my HR skills when I work there. I use them for health and safety. I use it for, confidentiality and privacy. I use it for compensation. I use it when we fill out the surveys and I help to improve things for the team. So I do use my HR skills. But I think that's why God kind of says you need to pay attention to what is happening and you need to have friends who can be with you on that journey and pray for you and pray with you. Sometimes your own family doesn't notice. Your own family will say, like my mom told me, no, you're fine. I think you just need to, it's just change of weather. So a new doctor, a new set of eyes, a different result. And if my doctor's practice hadn't said we need to take your blood pressure, we would have never have known. And then I started reading up on it and I used the UK websites. I don't use the websites from here because they give more thorough information. And apparently if your nose is bleeding for an hour or over an hour, you're actually supposed to check yourself in to the hospital. You're not supposed to just stay at home and try to get it to stop. So there's a lot I've learned because of my own health issues and my own faith journey, and that's why I'm sharing it with others, so others can also know, because sometimes your family mean well, but they don't know. They're also not doctors. They might say, oh, I'm going through the same thing and, it's just part of life. Just ignore it and carry on. Don't do anything. And they don't know. So I also didn't know. Now I know. And it probably saved my life. My doctor retired. I had to get a new doctor, and it probably saved my life because anything could have happened. When your high blood pressure reaches that stage, it's not good. The other thing is that normally, like the way we grew up in Zimbabwe, because it's hot and it's dusty outside and you're always outside, you're never inside. We always took a bath or a shower before we went to bed, before we went to sleep. And apparently that's also good for you, because if you're taking a warm shower or even a cold shower, the effect of having that shower or that bath before you go to sleep, it actually helps to lower your blood pressure and it helps you to sleep through the night. So things that you grow up with that you take for granted, you don't know the value of what it actually can do for your health. even cooking with our spices. So cooking with turmeric. Turmeric is a detox spice. It's good for your blood, it's good for your skin, it's good for a lot of things. The other one is ginger. Ginger is also good for that. So I had a book, Healing Spices. I still use that, but I used it for different reasons. Now I use it also for this high blood pressure. But it's interesting how the foods and what we eat and what spices we put in our foods can affect our bodies. And I use that a lot. It's a book written by an Indian author. He's a doctor, and he used it to heal his patients. So I think he's in California, Dr. Agarwal. But I always like cooking with my spices. I like using them. And so that's what I do. I like to avoid the medications, but in this case I couldn't because my blood pressure was way too high. So I take the medication, it does help me. And that's part of the faith journey, because even the plants that God gives us, the plants, the sunshine, the rising of the sun and the setting, all of those things are given to us by God to help us. The foods we put into our bodies, the water, everything is there for us to steward. And it's for us to look at our faith. And sometimes if you don't have anybody that can help you on the journey, that can walk with you, you can journal. You can write a journal, or you can set your goals and you can go back and review them. That's how I do it, because finding spiritual directors is not easy, and finding good spiritual directors is not easy. So that's another way to do it. And you also have to be in a space to take people for spiritual direction, because people are coming to you sometimes with things in their prayer life, or wanting to learn about prayer, wanting to learn about how to give retreats. Those are all things that I've helped people with. So you have to be able to do that. And call center work is very, very stressful. It's high pressure, back-to-back calls, 3 chats at a time. And while you're doing that, you have to do your research. So because we were a startup, I used to just do whatever was there, whatever was on the policies I would provide. One time a customer called and they complained because they wanted to know the price compared to a competitor. And we didn't have that. So I only provided what we had on our policies. And I thought that would be fine. Then the supervisor said, no, you can't do that. You have to go onto the internet and do what the customer tells you and then go back to them. So it was too much pressure for me, because I'm like, you know what, if the customer wants to know what a competitor is charging for a price, they should go and look it up. That's not within my scope and my policy, and it's actually outside of what the company has on the system. But I did what they told me, because if you don't do what they tell you, then they'll fire you. They'll give you a bad report. So working in this culture is very different compared to working in England. If I had done that in England, it would have probably been fine, because they would have said, yes, you know what, you did the right thing, because that's our policy, and you just provide them what is for our company. We don't expect you to go on the internet and look at what the competitor's charging and look at the size. Sometimes they call and they don't even know their own size. So they want you to go, and this is not provided on the system. They want you to go and check what is the size for a 7 to 8-year-old boy or girl, and then tell them. So those types of things, sometimes we're not provided with the full information, we're not provided with what they need. And then if you give them the wrong thing, then you get into trouble. So for me, it's a case of, you know what, you can't win. Because no matter what you do, it's going to be the wrong thing. But I did very well. I got the best of the best. I got prizes every month. I won Employee of the Month many times. It's just very hard in this culture, because there's no there's no accountability to the supervisors and the executives, the ones who are setting the policies. Everything's on the frontline staff. And for me, I don't feel that's fair, because we are the ones who are on the front lines. We are the ones taking the pressure. We are the ones going out and getting the quotes when we're setting up events, when we are looking for, the places to hold the events. And even when I came here, like when I worked in England, I worked arranging events and training and getting the feedback on the event and all that for the lawyers, and in construction. I worked in education. I worked in a lot of different areas. And when I came here, I was surprised at the amount of allergies and dietary restrictions and all that you have to take into consideration. Because when I used to book the events in England, I never had to worry about that. And then when I came here, they told me, no, you have to ask people, do you have any dietary restrictions? Do you have any allergies? And then you have to arrange the catering according to that. So it was a huge learning curve for me. And people have allergies, they have to keep EpiPens with them and all kinds of things. So I never encountered that in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in the UK. It was only here. And so it's a lot of adjusting to go through. It's a lot of different things to get used to. And you adjust over time, but it's like a culture shock when you come here from England. And it's very, very jarring. So when I train people, those are some of the things that I tell them to think about, because it can be dietary, it can be health, it can be religious. So in Canada, we've had problems because some of the people who don't want to eat foods from the stores and things, they are killing the animals at home, and then they're selling it saying this is halal food. And they're not supposed to do that. But we've had a lot of problems, a lot of pushback, or you get people coming into the country, and there's people like me who don't have jobs, who have $0 coming in, and they're coming into the country and the government's putting them up in hotels. They bringing food in for them that is halal foods. They're bringing chefs in for them, and we're like, this is over the top. Like, yes, we want to help people. We want to be a country that helps refugees and helps people fleeing persecution, but this is too much. And, they'll send the TTC, or they'll send drivers to pick them up, take them to their appointments. My mother had to walk. My mother didn't get all that. And even when she phoned and she asked them, like, I need help to go to an appointment, they wouldn't help. So that's why I'm saying Christians feel that we're being discriminated against. And some families, including in my parish, are actually saying, if you bring in Christians, we'll sponsor them. We'll help them, because we're getting tired of our tax dollars going to other communities, and our own people are suffering. Our own people are being persecuted and slaughtered in places like Nigeria. And a lot of the women that I've mentored, that I've helped, they are from Nigeria, they are from India, they're from places where Christians are being persecuted. Some of them are Christians, some of them are not, but they tell me that even in India, the Christians are being persecuted, their rights are not being respected, especially for women and girls. And many of the young women that are coming here are pushing back at Teleperformance, at how I'm being treated, at what they're seeing people do to me. And they're telling them, like, your policies are so draconian, you can't even take your phone onto the floor. We couldn't even have water with us at one stage. I used to tell my mother. She's like, what? I said, yeah, they don't even allow us to keep water with us. We have to wait until we get our break, and then we can go and have a glass of water. And then when I used to ask them, I used to get into trouble. I said, no, it's ridiculous. Like, you have to at least allow us to keep some water with us. Then they said, okay, you can bring a flask. You can bring a flask with some water or coffee or something. Unfortunately, the ones who bring the alcohol and the drugs and do all that, they're the ones that get the support. So it's very hard for people like me, but what can you do? Because that's the reality of what's happening. So these are some of the questions that you can take with you and that you can reflect on for the John Maxwell, whether it's in your workplace or your families or your communities, and you can think about them. And even for me, I'm sharing some of those videos from the Jesuit Institute in South Africa because my family don't know these people that I lived with and that I had community with. They don't know Father Peter Knox and Graham Fusion and all of them. They're my friends. And I had invited my brother to come for my graduation, but he couldn't come, he had to work, so my mother came. So my mother knows them. My mother met Father Peter Knox, and she met some of my friends, and she met the people that I lived with on a day-to-day basis. But these are the ways that you build community, you build relationships. And so I haven't seen Father Peter since I came to Canada, because when I went home 8 years ago, he wasn't there. I got to see a few of the other people, including Anthony and some of the Jesuits who were here in Canada. But it's interesting how life changes and you don't know where life is going to take you. I didn't expect life to bring me to Canada, and I didn't expect it to be as hard as it is here for single women and women on their own. And there's a lot of discrimination. The Jesuits actually did a report with one of the agencies, and they're saying that single women and women of visible minorities are the worst affected in Canada when it comes to poverty. So if you're not having a job and you don't have an income, how are you supposed to help your elders? How are you supposed to take care of your own needs and help your widowed mother? It's impossible. So they are trying, the Jesuits Institute in Montreal, they are trying to get support in for women like me who are on their own. And it's an oppression. It's an oppression because it's not something that has happened for 1 or 2 years. This has been going on since 2008. So we also pray that that oppression would be lifted and that the right solutions would be found for Canada, because it's a laughing stock. Our growth in Canada used to be the best in the world. We used to have the best healthcare, the best, even like religious accommodation and all that. We used to get it, now we don't get it. And even then we had to fight for it when I came into Canada. But it's sad because the economic growth is worse than even South Africa's. So I'm not just moaning and groaning and complaining. I'm saying that we need to work together to find solutions, and we need to pray for Canada. When the Pope came here to bless the lakes and to ask for forgiveness, he wasn't the first one, the first Pope that came. There were others that came before him, and those were more joyful celebrations compared to this visit. And I felt sorry for him coming in that wheelchair, because they were threatening to sue the church. So, and you can't put everything like that on just one body of people. They put everything on the Catholics, but the government implemented those schools. The government said what policies should and shouldn't go, just like in COVID. But they put everything on us. And that's why I'm saying it's not right, because Christians like me are being persecuted. And if you think it's not persecution, think again. Because even my friends, my family, everybody will tell you that I'm good. I do a good job, I work hard, I'm reliable, and I take pride in my work, and yet somebody like me can't get a decent job. Or when we do get jobs, we get the worst shifts, we get treated badly, we don't get any accommodation. So how is that not persecution? It is persecution. So I hope that the referrals that people I worked with actually result in a good paid job for me, because it's also my health now. It's not a matter of just saying, oh yeah, I deserve it, and an attitude of entitlement. If I had an attitude of entitlement, I wouldn't have come as far as I have. It's the executive at the banks who have that attitude of entitlement, because they're all friends and they all know each other. And I'm actually happy to see that Pierre Poilievre is pushing back against the banks, because it's very rare to see a politician do that. Mark Carney knows he should be the one pushing back, because it's not right what they're doing to people. And you get all these false adverts on YouTube here. When you look at them, they look real. It's like our Prime Minister saying we have this new platform to invest in, or people from Shark Tank. If you look at those, they look real. I just ignore them because half the time I know it's probably illegitimate. But why didn't YouTube stop those videos? Why didn't the companies, the social media companies, stop them? They put everything on the individual. People have lost their homes, they've lost their livelihoods because of adverts like that. They caught somebody in France. They caught a woman in France. So that's why I'm saying it's not fair to put everything on the individual and to put everything on one person. And it's sad. It's sad because when you join a startup, yes, you know there's going to be learning curves, there's going to be things to adjust to, but the amount of pressure that was put on me in the call center, I couldn't cope anymore. It was too much. I used to tell them, like, if the company, whichever company we're working for, wants us to tell them about the sizes, the guides and all that, they should put it on the system. If you put so much pressure on us, they're like, that's your job, come on. I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is like slavery. I told him. Because it's not fair to us. I mean, if I had died on that job, would they have liked it? Because I was working from home. Even if I died at home, it would have been on them. This high blood pressure is on them. They said it was undue hardship to the company. Since when? They had other campaigns there. They had day shifts. They had other things. They could have given me an extra break. And even the lawyers that these courses I attended recently, they're saying, you know what? If somebody has a medical condition and they need an extra break, the company should give it to them and they should pay for it. Especially if it's somebody that's a long-term employee. They won't do it for me, but they'll get a new person coming in and they'll do it for them. So it doesn't make sense to me. In India, they take their phones onto the floor. If there's somebody that violates the policy or something, then you deal with that individually. We're being treated like we are children, even worse than children who can't make our own decisions. And that's what's killing everybody in my family, including my mother. Because we came here from Africa, we were treated like human beings, not treated like people who are drug addicts or criminals or can't make our own decisions. I mean, you can't even take a flask of water and keep it with you. You can't even keep a pen with you. Oh, it's security. Which company in the world can you not keep a pen with you or your phone with you? What if somebody in your family has a medical emergency and they need to contact you? Then you have to check it in your break and say, oh, shame. Someone died in my family, I didn't know. I mean, to me, it's the cruelty with which I've been treated that I can't get over. I can't get my head around it. And that's why I keep telling the banks, I keep telling everyone, transfer me back to England. I was much happier there because I was treated with some decency. And any of my friends will tell you that. Any of the people I worked with in England will tell you that. I did a very good job there too. And if all the Jesuits and everybody know my work, why aren't they getting me into positions with them? It's not fair to me. So I'm still praying that I get an opportunity to go back to England and to work with people who will treat me right. Because here, it's been a very poor experience for me. It's been very bad. The only thing I liked about here was the studies that I did at Regis College. Other than that, it's been like slavery. And, when I brought my mother here, I didn't expect it to be like this. We had a better quality of life in Africa. Now things have gone down, yes, but for all the problems and everything we had a good community. Over here, you're on your own. If you can't do the job, you make one mistake, they come down on you like a ton of bricks. And it's not fair. It's not right. If you want to think about building up God's community and building up what's right, you have to start with people like me and our family, not continue to treat us badly.